evening, everybody, and welcome to Woodbridge, the best town around. My name is John McCormick. I'm the mayor of this great town, and we're here today for a ceremony to recognize the 70th anniversary of the awful train crash of February 6, 1951, which, as you can see from the sign behind us, the Broker was the name of the train. 85 people perished that day. It was an awful day in Township history. I can't believe how many people are out here. I can't believe how many kids are out here. That's just terrific that they're out here to experience this and be a part of it. So I would like to now turn everything over to Dan D'Arcy. He is the president of the Historical Association of Woodbridge. Let me get a couple of quick introductions in before he does them. To my left is Brenda Velasco, the township historian who spent 19 years on the Township Council and retired from that job to take the historian position. Dolores Geoffrey is the president of the Historical Preservation Association of Woodbridge. Gordon Bond is a world-known, renowned writer, and he covers all kinds of Woodbridge history, and I'm thrilled that he's out here to share this day with us. So I'm going to move, get in the sun, and leave it up to Dan and all these very smart people on Woodbridge history to take you through the rest of the day. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Hope this isn't too high. Good afternoon. My name is Daniel D'Arcy. I'm the president of the Historical Association of Woodbridge Township. Today marks the 70th anniversary of the tragic accident on February 6, 1951. At this exact location where 85 people were killed, men and women, and hundreds were injured. Look around and imagine the horror of that evening. The scars of that day remain on the walls next to the bridge. And the scars remain in the hearts of many. This event is co-sponsored by the Historical Association of Woodbridge Township and the Historic Preservation Commission of Woodbridge Township, whose common mission is to preserve the history of Woodbridge Township. The oldest incorporated township in the state of New Jersey, founded in 1664 and incorporated in 1669. Today we lay a wreath in honor of all those whose lives were deeply affected by this tragedy, followed by remarks by Dr. Dolores Geoffrey of the Historic Preservation Commission and Gordon Bond, an association member, local historian, and the author of the book Man Failure, the story of this horrible event. See if I have another page. And if you may, if we lay the wreath, if we could have a moment of silence, that would be wonderful. Dolores? I want silence. Thank you very much. I now hand this over to Dolores. You can't bring it down? I might have to bring it down.
Sorry. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. As the mayor did indicate, I chair the Historic Preservation Commission of Woodbridge, and we were very fortunate to be able to get permission to erect one of our markers that we have placed about 70, 80 of them throughout the township. I'm sure you have seen them, and this one we're very proud of because it depicts a terrible day in the history of Woodbridge. I want to just mention that my brother, who is 92 years old, is a member of the Woodbridge Emergency Squad and was one of the many first responders who spent days trying to take care of the people who were injured, take them to houses in the neighborhood where people were very generous to allow them to stay until they got some help, and also to carry away those who passed away very tragically with this accident. I didn't know it at the time, but Vincent Joffrey was also a member of that squad, very young members, and later on he became my husband. So this holds a very special place in my heart because that organization was one of the first responder groups that helped take care of this area during that tragic accident. Thank you all for allowing me to share this with you.
I guess we'll have to leave this up.
I can take it.
Take it?
Yeah, she said I can.
I should take it.
Oops. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so very much for coming out, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. I was asked to give a brief description of what actually happened. If we could go back 70 years ago, it was a cold day, not unlike today. There was some snow on the ground. It had just snowed. It was starting to melt. It was late in the evening, approaching 6 o'clock. It was dark. It was misty. And a train, a Pennsylvania Railroad Express passenger train known as the Broker, was heading through Woodbridge, heading along these train tracks. Now, at that time, if you were here 70 years ago, this bridge would not be here. There would have been a wooden train trestle, a temporary trestle, because they were building the turnpike. And if you walk down that street, you can see where the turnpike is now. You can hear it. So the train tracks that are over there, they were active, they were in use during this time, and obviously they couldn't just stop all the trains while they were building the bridge that would carry the tracks over the new turnpike, so they created this temporary train track that would take the trains around the construction zone and then back onto the main line. It was set that there was a general order issued to the train crews that they were not supposed to exceed 25 miles per hour going over the wood trestle that was here, going through that sharp curve that would take it parallel to the work site. We don't know exactly how fast the Broker was going because there were no speedometers. There were no black boxes. Everything is surmised, but it had to have been doing at least 45, 50 miles per hour, maybe as much as 60 miles per hour when it hit the curve and derailed. The tender, this was a steam locomotive. This was back in the day when Pennsy was still running steam trains, a K4S locomotive. The locomotive made it through the curve and was heading down that side of the embankment. The tender behind it that had the coal and the water that ran the steam locomotive, that is what derailed first. That tips over onto its side. It pulls the locomotive over onto its side. The locomotive remained up on the embankment, but the tender slid down this embankment here, pulling the 11 passenger cars behind it down into Fulton Street. You can imagine what it must have been like if you were living in any of these houses and there was a train wreck literally in your front yard. We are here today, of course, to remember the 85 people whose lives were suddenly and violently ended by this horrible event. People who were just coming home from work, coming home from school, coming home from shopping, just doing ordinary things. We're here to remember the people who were injured, the hundreds who were injured, some of them terribly scarred for life, missing limbs, missed nights of sleep to nightmares. But we are also here to remember the people in the community who came forward, who came to their aid and tried to help the best that they could. The first responders, the rescue squad, the fire department, police, medics and nurses from Camp Kilmer, the nuns from Mount Carmel who were trained as nurses, they came in here and they were climbing up into the cars. The welders that were needed in order to cut open the mangled cars to get the people, to get the victims out. And also the people along the street here. People who opened their homes to give somebody in need a moment of shelter. How many rugs must have been ruined? How much upholstery was destroyed by the mud and the blood of people seeking help? Remember, this was before cell phones, so that meant that if you survived,
a phone line was gold because you could at least let your loved one know that you were okay. They let them use the phones. How many stacks of sandwiches and gallons of coffee were brewed to help keep the rescuers going throughout that long, god-awful night? As much as this is a tragedy, it is also a story of heroism. It is also a story of a community that came together and met the crisis. And I think Woodbridge Township should take great pride in that memory. And that is why it's important to have events like this. Every anniversary that comes, there's, as the way things are, there's going to be fewer and fewer people who have direct knowledge or who bore witness to this event. So it's important that we remember it. It's important that we remember the memory of those who were lost, and it's important that we honor those who stepped forward with that sense of community and that sense of spirit that I think is very important for Woodbridge Township. Thank you very much for coming out today, for being a part of this, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone that's here this afternoon. It's a wonderful turnout. I especially want to say thank you to the members of the association, Historical Association, and the members of the Historic Preservation Commission that are here today also, and all the concerned and wonderful citizens of the Township of Woodbridge. Probably, you know, we have in 5 years a 75th anniversary, but I guarantee you that from here on out, at the anniversary of this event, you'll always see flowers at this marker. Thank you very much. All right, we also want to give a shout out to two very special members of the association, Frank and Audrey LaPenta of Island, who've over the years given such a dedicated their historical lives, let's say, to many of the events of Woodbridge Township, but especially this event, since Frank, who unfortunately couldn't be here this afternoon, is home ill, was participating in this event, in the rescue event. So we say thank you to Frank and the other people that are still out there. We say thank you to them also, and thank you again to Frank and Audrey. Thank you.
Came here today because we realized it was the 70th anniversary of the train wreck of the broker, and every time there's loss of life, it's always sad for somebody whose family never dies, and they feel the loss, and we felt compelled to come here today and lay a wreath of flowers for the people that passed away. And we just wanted to let everyone know that, even though there's a tragic loss out of this, this actually really does bring everybody close together, because we realize how short life is and how valuable and precious life is, and we wanted to just let everybody know that we're laying this wreath and these flowers for the victims and their families, that we let them know that